Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
We are back, everybody. Hi, good morning. Welcome back to WMAL. I'm Andrew Langer, in for Larry O'Connor today. It is 8:07 a.m. right here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. Yes, this is O'Connor and Company, more or less, as I'm sitting here dreaming about my coffee, sitting alongside Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning.
You know, it flies along so much, Julie, that you miss your cues when you're coming back in on from the news. Anyway, joining us right now, because we've got to break down exactly what is going on with Maryland, if Maryland wasn't breaking down on its own, is Chuck Jenkins. He is the sheriff up in Frederick County. And, Chuck, we got this story. It's very disturbing. We're talking about this on the show. We talked about it a little bit with Joe DeGeneva. This idea that the Maryland legislature would actually prohibit local law enforcement from cooperating with federal immigration enforcement operations, even if the county decides that or locality wants to. Talk about this. What do you make of what's going on here?
Well, what I see, Andrew, is very dangerous because now you're getting the legislature saying to Marylanders, listen, we don't care about keeping the state safe or community safe. We care more about the people who are illegally in this country committing crimes. They're very confused about what's going on. They don't understand that ICE has a mission to carry out. And I think if they look at the county participating with ICE in our 287G programs, we are much safer communities because we hand off the criminals to ICE before they're released back onto the streets. That's what the legislature fails to understand.
When you go out to the community and talk to people, are they in agreement about this? And I'd particularly be interested in when you're talking to women, because women seem to suffer from this sort of suicidal empathy where, you know, they know that there can be risks associated with illegals coming into this country, often having committed crimes in the country of origin. They come over here. I mean, we have a Maryland mom, Rachel Morin, mother of 5, who was murdered while on a walking trail. Are women that you talk to in the community understanding why this is so necessary, or are they sort of suffering from that suicidal empathy that is so common today with women?
I think the women that I speak to here in Frederick County clearly understand the value of this program working with ICE over the past 18 years. We're the longest standing program of any sheriff's office in the country with the 287G program. Our county is safer than any other county in the region, in part due to our participation with ICE. So I think people clearly understand that, and I think people should be angered, horrified, and just really, really concerned about what this legislature wants to do.
Well, let me ask you this, Sheriff Jenkins, because at the end of the day, this used to be, let's say even, 30 years ago, maybe a little more, the issues of illegal immigration and illegal immigrant crime, they were, restricted generally to large metropolitan areas. But the Democrats have made it a point to make this a nationwide problem, and not just a nationwide problem in big cities, but nationwide problems in our smaller communities, our more sparsely populated communities. Frederick County has its larger, urban, semi-urban, suburban areas. So much of it is rural. This is a problem that hits every level of our demographics, doesn't it?
It surely does. So the tentacles have reached out everywhere. Let me just say, before I became sheriff in 2006, I investigated crimes, street crimes, person crimes, rape, sexual assault, and I was very frustrated because there wasn't anything being done for or to the people that were in the country illegally committing crimes. So when I ran for sheriff in 2006, I learned about this program, and I saw the value to the public safety here in Frederick County. I went after the program. It was implemented in 2008, and since 2008, we have facilitated the process to remove almost 2,000 criminals off of our streets because we simply don't release them back into the community. How good is that? Who can argue with the success of it?
Well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry, Jill. Let me jump in here because we got this statement from Delegate Nicole Williams from Prince George's County, who makes this statement that when you have these kinds of agreements, illegal or legal immigrants, they don't feel safe. They don't feel like they can cooperate with police. And I raised this point earlier. It's not the police presence and police law enforcement doing its job that makes people not want to cooperate with law enforcement. It's the threat of retribution from the criminal thugs, many of whom are illegal in these communities. If you remove the thugs, they want to they would be happy to cooperate. Who's right here?
You're right. You're right on. You're right on the mark. And listen, all of the things that these Democrats are saying is political rhetoric. They don't want the programs. They don't want cooperation. They don't care. They simply do not care, C-A-R-E, about the safety of Marylanders. And again, I can tell you, here in Frederick County, 18 years the program's been in effect, and you can't argue against it. You just can't make a logical argument.
Well, Sheriff Jenkins, so let's think about this, because you said you were elected sheriff in 2006. It was what happened over the 4 years between 2021 and 2025. Did anything change? Did things get worse? And actually, I will say this: did things get worse after Wes Moore was elected governor, and then Joe Biden elected president? How did that perfect storm of Democrats in Washington and Annapolis, how did that change the problem and the threats facing the Frederick County population?
So the biggest change was when Biden was elected president. The administration changed. The borders were wide open. Criminals flowed through the borders across the entire country. There was very little enforcement by ICE because they weren't allowed to do their jobs. Since the Trump administration has come into office, there's been a concerted effort to target criminals, gang members, repeat offenders, people who have committed crimes, murder in other countries, rape, child abuse. Let me tell you something. Child sexual assault is very prevalent among some of the illegal immigrant. Let me just say, some of these Central American countries that people come into this country, that's a very prevalent crime, and they commit it here in the United States, and we simply don't tolerate it. So again, if you're concerned about families, children, your friends, we can't have this in this country. Pick a tragedy state.
Listen, Sheriff Jenkins, let's end on a higher note. We are well into the fall right now. It's a perfect time to visit Frederick County, isn't it?
Absolutely. And listen, I tell everybody this. When you look at this entire region, the entire state of Maryland, I call Frederick County the land of pleasant living. So I say, pay us a visit, come up, enjoy the countryside, the beauty, and listen. I hope every Marylander gets behind myself and other sheriffs to fight this legislation to kill the program.
Right, and listen, the time the General Assembly session isn't open quite yet, but there are plenty of opportunities. It's not that far to get from Frederick County or wherever you are in Maryland down to Annapolis to testify on these things. In fact, we know folks were there testifying about the Election Commission on Friday. Sheriff Jenkins, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you for the opportunity. Have a good day.
Sheriff Chuck Jenkins, he's a sheriff up in Frederick County, Maryland. He's great. Yes, he is. Absolutely. Listen, we got more to come. First, it's 8:15 a.m. WMAL.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
This is a tough story for me, Julie Gunlock. I don't know if you're aware of this, but my mother passed away when I was very young. My mother passed away 2 weeks before my fourth birthday. And so I have sort of memories way back when, distant things here. And I see something like this, and I have very mixed emotions about it. Callum Worthy, I don't know who Callum Worthy is. Oh, Callum Worthy, known for his role on Disney's Austin and Ally. Co-founded Two-Way, Two-WAI, an AI platform that creates interactive digital avatars from short video clips. Well, obviously, I don't have any short video clips of my deceased mom. The app's promotional video showing a pregnant woman talking to an AI version of her late mother has drawn widespread social media backlash. As I said, I have mixed emotions. Obviously, I can't use it because I don't have video of my mother. But, I've seen these apps that are out there that will animate and colorize and fix, old pictures.
Yeah,
I've wondered about this. Your thoughts here.
I have no mixed thoughts here. I have no mixed emotions, and obviously, with your situation, I can understand that. But I find this to be deeply disturbing and almost. I don't want to be too dramatic here, but this seems demonic to me. I don't like this. These people are dead. Let them lie. Let them rest. Do not resurrect them in some sort of AI model. And then, it's a very wholesome ad here where the grandmother then reads a story to the little girl. But I know how horror movies start out, okay? And this has creepy horror movie all over it. It is not... Well, this is not good.
Listen, here's the thing that I come back to, and again, sort of getting at the ethics aspects of this, and let me play at least the beginning. Jeff, we're not going to play all the ad here, but let's hear the beginning of cut number 9. This is the grandmother app promotion.
He's getting bigger. See?
Oh, honey, that's wonderful.
Kicking like crazy.
He's listening. Put your hand on your tummy and hum to him. You used to love that.
Yeah. All right, we can end it there, Jeff.
That's not the real grandma.
Right.
That's a computer.
And here's where I come down to is because we've already seen instances in which AI that is badly trained takes you down some very weird and dark roads. Like you have the AI that was trying to convince kids to kill themselves, or worse, they are sort of self-reinforcing and they don't. Right? It's not.
This is the wholesome grandmother version of the silicone girlfriend. Okay.
Yes.
The weird. So, yeah. Okay. And I find this all. First of all, that woman is interacting with an AI pretending to be her dead mother.
Yes.
If you're not disturbed by that, I would be as the daughter would be disturbed that something is imitating my mother.
Right.
This is not normal. And it is, again, this to me seems demonic. This is not the natural
I saw the
way
Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode where they get a smart house. This is like 30 years ago, and the house decides that it's going to kill Homer because he's in love with Marge. It's voiced by Pierce Brosnan.
Look, I got to say, too, this isn't healthy, right? I'm sitting here talking from a sort of religious aspect. When someone dies, you've got to deal with it and cope and move on.
Right.
And then sort of reanimating them like this.
Right.
This is not normal.
No.
And
Listen,
I think it's unhealthy.
That's the thing. This is the problem. It is an artificial life, an artificial interaction. In a way, you're right. It is not the real person. It doesn't know how this person is going to interact. It takes us away from interacting with real people. And the damning part of this is, right, I would give anything to be able to have an actual conversation with my mother. I would be, I would give anything there. Listen, our good friend, I'll give you another example, not even the dead grandmother thing, but not a day goes by that I don't think I would love to have a conversation with our late friend Cameron Gray, right? But I know that if I uploaded an avatar of Cameron Gray, it would not be Cameron Gray out there. And so to me, again, setting aside the ethical implications of doing this, the ethical implications of preying on people's mourning, I think that's very. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's demonic, but I have huge ethical qualms about this. You can go ahead, Julie. You can have the last word and say it's demonic. That's fine.
Just say that if my children ever resurrect me on an AI and make me say I was wrong about everything, I will haunt them. I will come back and tell them.
Listen, and
I was not wrong.
Meanwhile, Morgan Freeman is busy suing everyone using his voice in AI. I have no doubt about that. I do my own impression of Morgan Freeman. Listen, we have so much more to get to. I am, yes. I can't get my voice nearly as deep this morning as I want to. Listen, more to get to. It's 8:22.
All right, coming up, we're going to talk to Maryland Delegate Jesse Pippy. He represents the 4th District, which encompasses parts of Frederick and Carroll counties. And he's going to talk to us about Maryland Governor Wes Moore's redistricting plans. Keep it here. It's 8:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Well, hey there, everybody. I am Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Hello there, Julie.
Good morning.
It is 8:37 a.m. right here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. And Julie, on Friday when I was on with Patrice, I advanced a theory, which is that the Democrats, in fact, despite all of the kabuki theater, the contrary, the Democrats won the shutdown at the end of the day because they got what they wanted. They got the victory in Virginia, especially. They got the victory in New Jersey. But the victory in Virginia because they want to redistrict, because they know that the only way that they can create a structural majority is by redistricting Republicans out of office. And obviously Wes Moore sees this. He's wanted to redistrict for a while, but he kicked it into overdrive with this redistricting commission. Joining us right now is Delegate Jesse Pippy from Maryland. He's the House Minority Whip. And Delegate Pippy, they kicked it off on Friday. They did it over Zoom. Did they not do it in person? What happened on Friday?
You know, it really makes you want to know what their intentions are when you schedule the first public hearing at 4 p.m. on a Friday.
It tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. So tell us what happened.
Well, look, the governor has unfortunately taken us down a bad path. I think the governor has succumbed to national political pressure, and it's extremely disappointing because what most Marylanders know, the 6.5 million Marylanders, what they know already is that Democrats have already gerrymandered the hell out of Maryland, and they've been doing it for decades. And so the idea that this governor is going to come out of the woodwork and say, we're going to draw the only Republican representative out of the 10 federal representative spots we have so I can, curry favor with my colleagues abroad is ludicrous. And so, Friday was the first of a few redistricting public hearings. And let me just say it, these hearings are somewhat of a sham. For one, the commissioners, I think there's 5 commissioners. There's only one that's a Republican. They were able to convince someone who holds a nonpartisan position out of Cumberland, a local municipal mayor, who I think is probably way in over his head. So they're able to get him on the commission. Everybody else is a partisan Democrat. They're going to hold a few hearings, and then that commission is going to send a recommendation, I guess, to some of the officers in the General Assembly to figure out how to draw out Andy Harris. I mean, it's ridiculous at best.
Delegate, the Washington Post even came out against this, saying in a headline, in a story that they wrote, an editorial they wrote, Wes Moore embarrasses Maryland with his gerrymandering ploy. I mean, to get that kind of a headline out of the Washington Post is pretty amazing.
Well, I agree. And I mean, look, the Washington Post is certainly no conservative, news source. At this point, I mean, they've been, usually very critical of Republicans and conservatives. But here's the thing. Everyone knows what's going on. It's actually very disappointing because I think this is an opportunity for the governor to actually lead on the issue. I mean, he could certainly come out and say, what's happening in other parts of the country like Texas and Ohio and some other, conservatively controlled states, I think is wrong. But instead, he's not taking the high road. He's doing the exact same thing, but worse.
Not only is he not taking a high road, Governor Moore was on with Jen Psaki, and here's what he had to say. Let's play cut number 11.
But make no mistake, according to the Washington Post, what the governor really wants to do is disenfranchise his Republican constituents. How do you respond to that, sir?
I can respond to the Washington Post with 5 letters, IDGAF.
Classy.
I mean, and you know something? It's not that he's not saying IDGAF about the Washington Post. Jen Psaki's question was about what the Washington Post was saying about him disrespecting Republican voters. He doesn't GAF about Republican voters in Maryland, does he, Delegate Pippy?
Well, I will tell you, that was probably some sort of Freudian slip on his part. But here's the truth in Maryland, right? So 40% of Marylanders who go vote, they vote for Republicans.
Right.
Yep.
And we know that because 2 of the last 4 governors have been Republican. And if it wasn't for the fact that Democrats have become experts at surgically removing Republicans from office via gerrymandering, we would have a significant more amount of representatives. For example, 20 years ago, 4 Republicans, 4 Democrats in our congressional delegation. Yeah. And every 10 years, they've drawn out Republicans via redistricting. And so for him to go online, maybe unintentionally, and just say, look, I don't care about at least 40% of the voting bloc in my state that votes for Republicans. I don't care, because I have now become a partisan participant in the national scene, and I just think that's disappointing.
So, Jesse, when's the next hearing? How do folks participate in the process? And yeah, I know we say it's a sham, but I do think the more heat we can put on the Maryland legislature, the harder we make it for them to do the wrong thing.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the overwhelming majority of participants on Friday were actually opposed to the idea of mid-cycle redistricting for the purpose of drawing out the only Republican. Look, you can go on, I think, the governor's website, and you can see when the next online hearing is. I would encourage your listeners to participate and voice their concerns, because we don't need this. I mean, if anything, we need to de-escalate the partisan divide in this country. There are so many more pressing issues in Maryland, like the fact that they literally just announced that we're another $1.4 billion in the hole in Maryland, right after they just increased taxes, the largest amount in Maryland's history. So we got bigger fish to fry.
It's a shock, Jesse, that we're short the exact amount that they raised the taxes by. I don't know how that worked. I think we all predicted this. Listen, we have to leave it there. Jesse Pippy, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It was Delegate Jesse Pippy. He's the minority whip in the Maryland House of Delegates. It is 8:44 on WMAL. So with Larry vacationing, Julie, it's a good opportunity to sort of talk about what is happening in Europe right now. And European nations, especially in the post-creation of the EU world, have struggled with the issue of mass migration and open borders. It is, in fact, one of the driving reasons why Great Britain, why England, why the UK left the European Union, why Brexit happened, was they could no longer handle not just mass migration, but the cultural impacts therein. This is a huge issue, and the president weighed in on it over the weekend. Let's go ahead, Jeff, and play cut number 12.
I'm so saddened to see what happened in Europe with the immigration. I think above all else, the immigration, but the bad taxing policies. When you look at, Europe is not the same place. No. I can't say every place, but pretty much almost every place. There are a couple of places, and I won't even get into that because those are the people, the leaders that aren't liked by the other European leaders. Yeah. But
all right, we can end it there. He's very sad by what's happening in Europe. And I'm going to put something out there, Julie. This is a form of colonialism, right? If the left has been all upset about European colonialism in Africa and going into Asia and elsewhere, and so many wars have been fought in South America, this is a form of colonialism where people come in, they colonize, and they are attempting to fundamentally change the cultural landscape. Your thoughts here?
Yes, and what's also so sad, though, is the refusal to acknowledge any of the problems associated with this mass migration. You have rape gangs in certain areas of England grooming young girls, and I'm talking thousands of young girls, and abusing them violently. Yeah. And it wasn't until recently, this has been going on for decades, and it wasn't until very recently that some members of the media in Great Britain, despite some very brave politicians coming out and saying, we really need to deal with this, and we're called racists. I mean, we have a situation where the police would punish the victims and tell them that they were being racist if they complained. and the police protecting these gangs of rape. And why? Because they are Pakistani.
Right.
They are Pakistani, and it was, diversity and multiculturalism above all else. So, look, this migration, yes, certainly I agree with you. This is sort of because there's no intention of assimilating. It's to change the British culture.
So I went, because I was in New York over the weekend. I actually went to Ellis Island and decided to, hadn't been out there in forever. My wife had never been out there. And it's one of those things where there's a big room in the have you ever been to Ellis Island?
I have.
Yeah. So that there's a really great exhibit about this issue of assimilation and about the children of first generation immigrants being that transitional phase and being caught between two different cultures. But the emphasis, and obviously, right, there is a richness of multiculturalism, but at the end of the day, right, you come to America to become an American, and yes, we have celebrations, but it's not about sort of remaining segregated in populations, which is, by the way, the other problem. When Sheriff Chuck Jenkins is coming on and talking about issues of crime amongst illegal immigrants. The issue of having all of these individual communities facing this and facing situations where massive amounts of populations are coming in and not assimilating, this is a massive problem, isn't it?
Yeah, and when we're talking about some of these, some of these populations, I mean, coming into Great Britain and other European countries, they're not really into women's rights. And yet women are some of the most staunch defenders of these immigration policies. I mentioned earlier this suicidal empathy. It is very disturbing to see this. And again, the fact that they ignore this, that government leaders in Great Britain and other parts of in France and oh my gosh, say goodbye to Germany, coupled with the low birth rates. I mean, Italy is just it's suicide. There's not going to be any Italians left.
Yes.
Now you compare that to Poland. Poland's doing the right thing. They put a stop to that kind of immigration. 100%. They protected their culture. And Trump mentioned this. These are the European leaders that are not liked in Europe because they protected their own people and culture.
Well, they're not liked by others in the sort of the multicultural.
Yes.
Listen, there's so much more to get to. It's 8:53.